going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are in the shop and once again we're working on dead plates here. So I am less than 1 month away from BleepinJeep's Beast Wars, where I will be taking this pig and pretty much bashing it on the trails up in eastern Tennessee. This Jeep started life as a 1978 Cherokee Chief. I ended up chopping the top off and bobbing the rear, stretching the rear. I re-geared it, I put lockers in it, I put some 4Runner sliders on, I fixed all the rust holes in all of my seams with license plates. This is basically a rat rod rock crawler. So in the last video y'all saw me on this Jeep, I welded on these 4Runner sliders and they are seriously strong. I did 2 passes on the frame, welded everything up, put some gussets on there, so I know those are really solid. But there is one very, very crucial flaw with this Jeep, and with a lot of these full-size Jeeps, is a extremely terrible design. And let me show you. Well, actually, I have to tear some stuff apart before I show you, so give me 1 second. So on this Dana 44, a lot of so this is a wide track Dana 44, and this one has the passenger side drop, but all of these come with, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, all of these come with 7/16 lug studs, which are super small. I mean, my pinky is wider than this stud right here. And if you have ever seen one of these wheel, 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, these have been pressed out, drilled, and new lug studs have been put in. So these are a 1/2-inch lug stud. I know some people go to, I think there's like, they go up to a 9/16, and I think some people even put a 5/8, but for this Jeep, I think a 1/2-inch lug stud will be just fine. So personally, it's never happened to me, but I've heard 100 horror stories from these full-size Jeeps when they're rock crawling, off-roading, you know, going through mud and ditches and stuff, that these lug studs will just exit the chaff and they will just shear right off. And of course, then your tire falls off and then you're stuck on the trail, because this isn't really like a trail fix type situation. So what I plan on doing tonight is, Key is already working on the passenger side. Say hey, Key. Hey, Key. So we're gonna start tearing these apart and we're gonna get these old crappy ones out. I think there's even one that's already busted on that side. And we're gonna drill these out and put some new lug studs in, and we're gonna show you how to do it. So I'm gonna start by go ahead and taking this caliper off right here. I just put all of this on, by the way, so I feel pretty stupid taking all this back apart. I should have done it before, but I was impatient and I wanted to check the rod height and everything, so yeah. All right, so I got the brakes off, and now I'm just gonna set that right there. Hopefully it won't fall. Now I have to take this lockout hub off and not let the clips fly everywhere like he just did. You can see him over there looking for the clip that he just lost.
I mean, worst comes to worst, I'll go out there and pull one off the spares.
See, those don't have the lockout hubs.
Why? It's okay. Yeah, but it should still have the C-clip, the axle retainer.
Bruh. He's right, you know.
So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and be sure not to lose it like Key did.
My bad.
It's all good, man. Teleco build, right?
Yeah, I don't need it.
Tack weld it. So just be really careful and wear safety glasses and not lose it.
Safety squints at least.
Shit. Oh, that. So I found mine. Where's yours at, Key?
Narnia.
there's another snap ring right here that you can just kind of pick out with a pick. Just kind of massage it around. Just like that. Just make sure all this comes out and just put it on a rag on your shop floor because all your tables are messy like mine. The whole assembly in is there's another snap ring right there at the bottom, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to get to. But you can take a pick and just kind of pry up, and it should come right out. So now I'm going to be taking this socket to go ahead and take this wheel hub apart and get the wheel bearings out. And just make sure you pay attention to how this comes out because you want it to go back in the exact way that it came out. Just like that. Now I got one more. Sweet. So now it should all come off. Yeah. Oh. My bearing came out too. So now I'm going to take this lug stud remover and go ahead and see if I can get these out. You can use a press to get these out, but I find that these are just a little bit quicker. So I want to show you the difference in size. Now I need to basically figure out what size I need to drill these out and go ahead and drill them out. Because right now they are not going to fit. So I have the lug studs removed and then I separated and then I took the rotor off. It was just kind of pressed on, but I separated it. That way it'd be easier to drill out. And so now I'm going to go ahead and start drilling out this rotor. So the lug studs are seated right there. And you can see, where's my old ones? Right here. So here's my crappy old ones. And looks like that one's actually, yeah, this is the broken one. Yeah, so these are pretty terrible. But I'm gonna go ahead and drill these out to a 5/8. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have the correct size drill bit over there. I believe that is a 21/32 drill bit, but I don't want to wear that thing out because it's the only one I got. And so I'm going to just take my reamer and that way it'll just go ahead and chew on through and make this a 5/8, and then that's less metal that drill bit will have to drill out. So I've been using this piece of plastic just for other drilling purposes, and I'm just kind of putting this on it just so that it's less mess I have to clean up later. Ugh. I'll do it this way, that way y'all can see. And so my reamer is pretty long and I don't want to be hitting my concrete, so that's why I'm putting it on some pieces of metal right here. Now I'm just going to get some PB Blaster or just get some cutting oil. Just kind of spray that, spray this, make sure everything's good and lubricated. And just take your time with this. All right, so there's that one. Now you can just spin it. Lube everything up. That way you don't dull out your drill bit. Sweet. So now I'm just going to go all around and ream all of these out with this 5/8 reamer. So now that I have these all reamed out to 5/8, I'm going to come with a 21/32 drill bit. That's, you know, what it measured out to be for the lug stud there. And I've got it in the drill press. I've got some clamps holding it down and make sure that it's pretty good. So now I'm just going to hit it with some cutting oil and see how good it marches through. Make sure you wear your safety glasses. Sweet. So that pretty much marched right on through, which is really good because I had to special order this drill bit just for these lug studs. But I'm going to just start spinning this around and get these all drilled out. So I have all of the holes drilled out, and then I went and sprayed everything with some WD-40. That way, whenever I put in these new lug studs from Dorman, this is the parts number that I'm using here. That way when I install them, there is a little bit of lubrication, so whenever I'm beating these in, whenever I'm pressing these in, they will just kind of go on in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the lug stud and just kind of just drop right in there and set this down just like so. And then I'm going to take one hammer and put right here. I think there's some birds fighting right outside of my shop. But my grandma always told me never hit two hammers together, so sorry, Grandma. But now I'm just going to go ahead and press these on in. Just like that. So you can hear the pitch change whenever I tapped it in. You can see right there. Ta-da! That looks good. So you can see it's fully seated right there on the back. So now I'm just going to go all around and get all of these pressed in. My grandma would not be happy with me right now.
So sorry.
So just put that right there. So got another one. Went in just fine. So now I'm going to go all around and get all 6 of them in. So these new lug studs have a little taper right here. So when the hub sits on the rotor, these don't fit. So what I'm going to have to do is actually drill this out just a little bit. So I'm going to take that reamer and just pretty much just ream this out until this will fit. So got all this drilled out, and you might ask yourself, why are you using a reamer for that? Well, I don't know if you saw how easy that reamer just chewed right through that metal, and I'm an impatient person and it just works the fastest, so that's what I went with. You don't have to use a reamer, but it was just really convenient. So now I can take the hub and drop right on. So I've got to tap it on a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other side, I'm going to get the passenger side hub and rotor to this point right here, and then I guess we can start putting everything back together. So now I've got this all cleaned up, and now I can put this back on the vehicle. And so I just made sure that all of that had some good wheel bearing grease on it. And so now I can place this back on. Just like that. Stay. So I've got this bearing repacked with grease. I'm going to push that in. So I'm probably just going to fast forward through all this, but I just wanted to let you know, I just wanted to say one thing, is that this one is the first one that goes on. You can see it has a keyway right there. So that one is obviously going to be the first one that I put on. And so typically what I like to do is I just like to torque them down and then back them off. I like to torque them down and then back them off a quarter turn and just spin it back and forth as I'm applying pressure, just to make sure that the bearings aren't binding or anything like that. But I'm just going to get this on. So as you can see, I have everything put back together. Everything spins, got the other side done. Man, that was a lot of work. I am running a 2-inch spacer on this axle just to get those TSLs a little bit further away from the body. Mainly in the rear. The front I'm not really worried about, but it looked kind of weird with just spacers in the rear, kind of like a tractor. But overall, I am super pleased with having a lot bigger wheel stud. That's going to be a huge peace of mind that I'm going to have whenever I'm taking this thing on the trails. I'm not going to have to worry about shearing those itty bitty lug studs off. So now I got some meat on here that these wheels, that the swampers can, you know, bolt to. But now I think I'm going to work my way towards the rear. The rear is probably going to be not as much a pain in the butt because I'm not going to have this hub to take apart. I think I am going to take the axle shaft out in the rear just so it's a little bit easier. And I can kind of show you on camera a little bit easier what I'm doing with the axle shaft out of the Jeep. But you can, I have drilled them out on the vehicle before, but then you got metal shavings going all in your brakes and stuff, and it's just kind of messy. So I think I'm going to take the axle shaft out. So I'll be honest with you, I feel pretty stupid that I had all this apart like 2 weeks ago, and now I'm just tearing it all back apart just to do this. I should have done this before, but I don't know. That's not how I do things. I do things twice. So obviously I already have this off. We're going to be drilling this out also. So I'm just going to get that out of the way. So now I need to rotate this about right there. So I believe this is an 11/16 nut right there. So it does have a hole inside of the axle shaft that gives you access to getting these studs out. I probably may have to put a wrench on the back of it, but we'll see. Sweet, came right off. Cool. So I'm gonna spin this around, and that way I can get to all 4 corners that's holding this axle shaft in. So the axle shaft doesn't want to come out. So the last time I did this, I had a hard time getting the axle shaft out, and I actually had to take my slide hammer and try to take it out. But I'm gonna try a different method. But you can so if you don't have a slide hammer, you can actually turn this around. You can actually turn the drum brake around and use it like that. Just be careful. It's kind of sketchy on the lift. All right, so I may actually have to get my slide hammer because this thing is not wanting to come out. For some reason, every time I use a slide hammer, all I can think about is busting my teeth. Yeah, that should be good enough right there. All right. It took longer for me to walk over and get my slide hammer than it did to actually use it. So now I can take this axle shaft out. This is the long side here. So these are the lug studs that I have to beat out right here. So that's what we're gonna do now. I've got this set up in my vise here, and I'm just gonna spray a little bit of WD-40 just to help get the action started. And hopefully it'll stay in my vise, but we'll see. One. Ha! Easy. Like I said before, you could use a press, but I mean, you can't beat that. So I think for this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my 5/8 reamer and go ahead and drill this out to 5/8, and then that'll be a lot less work that other drill bit has to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start drilling that. And look who came out to the shop to help. This cinnamon roll. Are you gonna help, girl? She wants to go outside and run around, but she doesn't like to listen. Do you, girl? Sit. That's a good girl. Look, I got to drill some holes. Are you going to help or not? Are you going to help or not? Are you going to help or not? That's a big no. All right, I got to drill some holes. So I'm just going to put a rag around this bearing just to try to keep most of the metal debris off of it. I am going to, pretty much clean it and re-grease it and repack it and just clean it up and, make sure it's all good there. But I just trying to make sure that, all this metal shavings and stuff don't really go in it. All right, so just going to hit everything with some PB Blaster. Kind of went everywhere, but that's all right. Make sure it's tight. We can start drilling. That's pretty satisfying. All right, so got it drilled out to 5/8, and now let's go back with a 21/32. So this kind of sucks because 21/32 is kind of close to 5/8, so you've got to kind of hit it with some speed. If not, it's just gonna try to fly out of your hand. And lubrication is key on this. That way you don't mess up your drill bit or get this battery in my teeth. Sweet. So now I just have to do that 5 more times and we'll be ready to put the lug studs in. went through and kind of lubricated all of my drum brakes and just made sure everything was seated. If you hadn't heard me say, I absolutely hate drum brakes, but that's what we got. So that's what we're gonna run. They are awful. Come on. So I'm just gonna get these nuts back on these bolts, and then we'll just tighten them up. These drum brakes are so aggravating. Like, it'd be one thing if drum brakes were aggravating and they work good, but they're aggravating and they don't work good. Like, I can deal with one or the other. Okay, so I went ahead and threw the wheel spacer on. That way I can make sure that it seats correctly. I didn't put any Loctite on these wheel spacers yet, but I will. But I just wanted to make sure that everything just cinched down and, you know, didn't bind, or, you know, there was clearance issues or anything like that. So now I'm going to jump to the passenger side and go ahead and get it all wrapped up and get it to this point right here. And then we'll be done with these lug studs. It's kind of a lot of work, but it's not hard work. It's just really time consuming, but in my opinion, it's definitely going to be worth it for sure. All right, so I went ahead and threw the tire on just to make sure that everything felt good. There wasn't any movement, that the lug studs were, you know, seated correctly, and I know that they are. I know that I'm not going to be driving this vehicle on the road, but if you ever do lug studs for your vehicle, what I highly recommend is to torque them down, and probably not run wheel spacers, but torque everything down, go for a spin around the neighborhood, come back into your shop or garage or driveway and re-torque your lug nuts, because those lug studs, they can stretch just a little bit. I'd say after 5 or 10 miles, I would re-torque them just to make sure that they hadn't stretched or anything like that. And then you should be good to go. But anyway, guys, I'm probably going to end this video right here. Somebody wants to go outside and play, so I'm going to go spend some time with my little girl. But if you don't mind, hit that like button and make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any other content on this build. I will be taking this to the BleepinJeep Beast Wars in less than a month, and I still don't have it ready. So definitely check it out. You can check out the Beast Wars on my channel, and you can also check it out on BleepinJeep's channel. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll see y'all next time. All right, say bye, Cinnamon Roll. Say bye, everybody. Whoa. Look, a little dinosaur.